1924 West 23rd Street, right across from Sam's. Steve's Bike Shop. Your ride starts here.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Scorpion TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200 plus entertainment and news networks, or watch thousands of movies on demand, all for just $45 a month when you use the ESPN NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Scorpion TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Scorpion TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Scorpion TV logo. Don't forget our promo code ESPN NW.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios.
Snatched away and intercepted. Ball game. The fairy tale continues.
The Afternoon Underdogs are on the air.
And the breakthrough for the U.S.
4.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise. Keep making noise. Yeah.
My goodness gracious, what is going on, Panama City? You're now riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with aiming for the trifecta, just completed it, James Fife, with us for the third time. He ran the board for the Coach James Hale Show, hosted the Inside Drive, and then is back here for running the board for the Afternoon Underdogs. So, James,
happy to be here.
Big ups to you, my man. I think I've only done that once or twice in my time here, so it is a all-day adventure, but the beautiful part of it is you get to talk a little or a lot about sports along the way. We also have the coach's daughter back in the building with us in what feels like forever. Leanne, sports intruder. Leanne, how are you doing today?
I could not be better.
Hey.
I'm doing fantastic.
There you go. Might have to talk a little bit about your latest works. Yeah, really proud of you, excited for you, and just we'll talk about that at some point in time during the show. We've got a loaded guest lineup for you. We've got Mark Monteith, used to write for the Indy Star up there in Indianapolis. He will join us at 4:20 to talk about the NBA Finals. Then Andrew Weiss, our NHL ambassador, will talk about the Stanley Cup Finals as Game 1 got underway last night, and it was electric as we all assumed that it was going to be. Ended up being a 4-3 win for the Oilers in overtime.
Wow.
Did you watch it?
No, I did not. I was outside watering grass.
Oh, the game didn't start till what? Probably 7:20
Yeah, it
last
started
night
about
or so.
7:20.
Oh, I was still outside working.
I fell asleep in the final intermission, the intermission before overtime.
Must
I
have been
hated
interesting.
It was. But it's a 17-minute intermission, and the Braves had just disappointed one more time. So it was like, all right, well, I don't even know if I want to talk to you guys about what the Atlanta Braves did this afternoon. But we are live and local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can call them at 850-747-3815 or visit their website at cbcconstruction.com. We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. You can like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also download the app and register. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. As always, you can call us on the Red 7T's phone line at 850-215-6290. Our text in question of the day: what are the top 3 logos in all of sports? Top 3 logos in all of sports. Text that in to the Red 7T phone line, 850-215-6290. We will read those off along the way of the show this afternoon, and then at 4:40 we'll dive into our answers, or sometime after 4:40 after we get off the line, talking NBA Finals with Mark Monteith. Football camp, we talked with Javian Elliott on Tuesday about his career and his journey and how he's back here coaching defensive backs for the Rutherford Rams. Well, him and Coach Boris Jackson out of Orlando have a free football camp at Tommy Oliver coming up this Saturday. Registration is at 8 a.m. Skills starts at 9 a.m. So you make sure you want to go check, you definitely want to go check that out if you're available. Now, they're only going to take a certain amount. They have already got over 120 students signed up for this, but some of those were parents not understanding the sign-up format and ended up signing up for themselves. So they will have a little bit of room over there. So get there early at Tommy Oliver this Saturday. I'm telling you what, being able to talk over the line with Javian Elliott, wow, what an inspiration. And he also does training sessions with your players and whatnot. You can just go to javianelliott.com. The first session is free, but you just you go to javianelliott.com and you can figure out what you need from there. Oh, we are an affiliate for the Atlanta Braves. They do not play tonight because they've already played today. They will play tomorrow night at 9:15, first pitch time, taking on the San Francisco Giants on a westward road trip. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored locally by Billboard Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing. Guys, I'm a very optimistic person. I'm having a really hard time. Not just yesterday, we had Banji on. He's like, why don't you just say it how it is? They suck. I'm like, listen, we've got too long of a season to be saying something like that. Then I go home last night, and the Braves are just abysmal. The offense is like, what are we doing? And then today, the offense sparks. 5-0 lead. Then it's 6-3. Then it's 10-4 going in the ninth. You're like, hey, the offensive explosion has happened. Here we go. Ronnie is staying hot, hits the home run. I'm not even lying to you guys. I'm not even paying attention. I have the TV right above me. I'm in there working on the show for this afternoon. I look up, and it is 11-10. I'm seeing Eugenio Suarez hits the double, and I see the winning run, the eventual winning run crossing the plate. And mind you, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have faith in the Braves because this is so sad. So then I hop onto Hard Rock, and they're like plus 325. So I'm like, here, I'll throw like $8 on it because it is what it is. I don't even expect you guys to win, but maybe you'll pull a rabbit out of your hat.
No.
And no, they don't. So I'm in a really tough position not to just break down and be like, you know what, it is what it is. We'll continue to have Sam on. We'll continue to play the games. We'll do whatever it is we got to do as a Braves affiliate. But I'm not there yet. I'm not going to sit there and say they flat out stink. But today was a horrible showing. To be up 10-4 in the ninth inning and to lose that game 11-10. It's what is so infuriating about this is we'll have one of the 3 facets of the game, be it offense, starting pitching, and the bullpen. One of those will be on fire each and every game. But the other 2 will come crashing down as it did today. The offense comes out great. Starting pitching even was decent, very decent. And then the bullpen comes in, and Raisel Iglesias, who has done great things for the Atlanta Braves, but just totally gives it up this afternoon. 7 runs in the daggum ninth inning. Just unacceptable, really. Like, I am to the point now where it's like, does Brian Snitker, does he even care enough to coach for his managerial position right now? I don't know if I see a fire in him anymore or if he's just biding his time. I think we were talking about this yesterday on the Inside Drive, James. I'm not sure what I'm seeing from this team. It's got to be a leadership issue. No one in the clubhouse is stepping up to pump this team up. And maybe Brian Snitker's like, I've done what I can do as a manager of this squad. If you guys aren't going to play the game, I don't mean to say it the right way, but if you're not going to play in a winning fashion, then I wash my hands of this situation. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out more from Sam Peebles tomorrow afternoon at 4:05. But James, do you have any words of optimism for me for the Atlanta Braves right now?
Not optimism, but my question is how long are you going to keep throwing Raisel Iglesias out there as a closing pitcher?
Yeah,
12 times to get a save. Completed 8 of them. Blew 4 of them. I mean, that's not great in the stat category at all. They got to find some way to close out some of these close games that they're getting in, and they're not getting into a whole bunch of them right now. So when you do have those chances, you need to take those opportunities and go through with them.
Yeah. What do you think?
That's
maybe we're not as
runs.
down bad as the Orioles right now, but it's pretty
but you know
bad.
what? At least we went ahead and got rid of our coach.
There you
go. And we're going to see if that's going to do anything. I started to wear my Orioles shirt, and I was like, not feeling it.
I'll save myself from the embarrassment
You're right.
this afternoon.
So then I just wore my Mississippi State shirt because, we're used to that.
Yeah.
That's the way we roll.
Oh, my goodness.
But,
I'll still keep wearing the Brave stuff,
season.
though.
That's right. You still... The problem is that you grew up an Alabama fan.
No, that's not the problem, though. I grew up an Alabama fan.
No,
I am not.
Time.
Growing up an Alabama fan was almost an embarrassment.
What?
All right, 1992 was when they won the championship, correct? I'm a year old. I don't know how to celebrate anything like that. And so me growing up, the highlight of my childhood, you got to think 2009 is when they won their first national championship, right? I was a senior in high school right there. The first good year was my junior year in high school where we finally competed against Florida. We had a couple of good seasons, but the highlight was winning the Cotton Bowl against Texas Tech where we needed a knuckleball kick from Jamie Christensen to win 13-10. So, and that was like, scoring this many points in college football was unheard of. What they're doing these days, like what Alabama was doing.
That's because it's all defense.
Right, exactly. So, no, I was not spoiled by Alabama. I was spoiled by the past of what I knew it used to be like. Oh, man, all them national championships that they claimed and whatnot along the way. Yeah. But I was not privy to that. The Tampa Bay, as an adult, but that's not when you start. That's not your roots in sports.
For the last several years, you've been used to having a team that won, and the Braves have been good too.
That's what makes it easier for me now, though, right? Because growing up, I've just the Tennessee Titans were never good.
Right.
Me growing up, our best years were like Vince Young and stuff. Alabama wasn't good. The Braves really weren't good when they won the World Series. I was 4 years old, so I wasn't, understanding of that. And you don't spoil adults, right? It's the kids who get spoiled and then become spoiled adults. I'm a very grateful adult. So, yes, I have been spoiled in the sense of really since I started working here, the stretch of winning that my teams across the board have done, but it makes it easier to be like, all right, this is just a bad year, and I'm not one of those fans who expect my team to be doing great things year in and year out. But for the Atlanta Braves, I think the biggest issue is last year we were leaning on the injuries, and then this year it's like, why haven't we put these things together? Yeah. Now that Strider's back, now that Ronnie's back, the offense clicks, then the bullpen. So to me, it's more of what is off here because the roster is too good for this team to be playing like this.
Minus Freddie Freeman.
Well, yes, 100%. But even then, after Freddie Freeman left, we still had
a
good
decent
runs.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's to sit there and say that Matt Olson isn't a great offensive first baseman. What it goes to show, for me personally, anyways, my opinion on it is how good of a leader in the clubhouse Freddie Freeman was, and how we don't have
and
that.
And that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Austin Riley hasn't stepped up and kind of taken that position.
you gotta
Sean
have
Murphy
that.
and Matt Olson are more newcomers than what Ronnie and what Ozzie are. You would like to see those two guys do it, but Ronnie hasn't been really consistently in the clubhouse in his entire tenure there. And then Ozzie finds himself getting injured a little bit too much. What say you, James?
I don't know what's going on with the Braves. They have a not a great looking roster. They have a very good roster looking at it on paper. And you can always look at rosters on paper and go, man, that's great. But then you have to go out and play the games. Now, I'm not sure what's happening when they're going out and playing the games outside of really, Iglesias there as the closer is one of my big things that I'm going to harp on just because he's already got, 4 blowing saves. His career high is 4. And we're not even to the All-Star break, and he's, already kind of breaking down on that. So I don't think it's a locker room problem. It doesn't look like a locker room problem. Dudes still look to be getting along just fine in the dugout, look to be communicating with each other very well. They're not yelling at each other, and they're not screaming at each other. So I'm not sure where it goes. I don't think Snitker has checked out, because if he's checked out, he'd be gone. I mean, you just can't stay in that job and be checked out. There are too many people making too much money above you that still want to make big money.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm not saying that he is checked out. I'm trying to find any sort of theory that would make sense for what is going on, because it doesn't.
They're in a slump.
I mean, look at the
This is a long slump, Leanne.
Okay, this may be a bad year.
Yeah, and it very well could be, but
I hope not.
I'm just not writing it off just yet.
You don't
I'm
have
not
to.
writing it off just yet. But if we're more than 5 games underneath 500 at the All-Star break,
what's going to be worse for you this year? The Braves with 90 losses?
Oh my gosh.
Or the Tide with 5?
Good
question.
Neither one of those are happening. Neither one. But what would be worse is
How do you know?
absolutely. Because Alabama's not going 7-5. Well, they don't got a quarterback, so they could go 7-5. And then Kalen DeBoer at that point, which I'm rooting for the guy, but at 7-5 could be on the outside looking in. And if nothing else, we'll start 2026 on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
But the Braves aren't going to lose 90 games this year, will they?
They've let 7 runs go in.
They're 7 under 500 right now, so that would put them at 88 at the end of the season if they keep the same pace.
But they won't do that. If that theoretical situation were to happen, by the time that the Braves are getting close to 70 losses, not saying that that's where they would end up at, but if they've got 70 losses and are 10 games under 5, you think I'm worried about that anymore? It's just like, all right, hey, like I'll watch whatever games are available, whatever. If I'm bored, I'll watch. But if Alabama loses 5 games, bro,
you're gonna really be upset.
That's what I'm saying is like the answer to that question is so simple, mainly for the fact that there's only 12 games in college football. So even if Alabama was, let's say that a good year let's say they were like Texas A&M, where like a good year for them is 8 wins, right? Mm-hmm. Which is Texas A&M's kind of consistent home is around 8 wins. But if that was a good year for them, I would still hate 5 still having to, you get to celebrate only 2 times more than what you have to like live all weekend and all week. Like, golly, I can't believe my college football team is doing this to me. Now, I mean, what if you had to experience losing 10 times last year and victory only twice?
Yeah, I know about that.
As a Mississippi State fan.
I've been there, done that more than once.
My senior year at WKU, it was an offer.
But I mean, what do you ever really expect out of Western Kentucky? What is your I hope for Kentucky we win this amount of games?
For me, Western Kentucky being in Conference USA, the stepping stone of every single conference out there. If you're not playing for the conference title, I'm disappointed. It's a joke of a conference. Let's face it.
Did they make it to the NCAA tournament for baseball?
Yes, they did.
I thought so.
Lost both games, but I was absolutely excited that they made it there because they haven't been to the baseball since 2009. So incredibly happy on that. While the football team has been playing fairly well now, especially since they moved up. Little bit of tough time moving up, but after they moved up, went through some coaches. Now they're kind of settled. They're getting to the championship in CUSA just about every year. And if not, they're in the conversation at the end of the year. So if they're not in the conversation at the end of the year for CUSA championship, I'm not happy.
Well, there you go. In other news, as you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, James Fifley and Schwarzentroober, David Hayes here. Y'all could call us on the Red 17's phone line at 850-215-6290. Mark Monteith coming up in about 5 minutes. Aaron Rodgers has made a plan to sign with the Steelers. Apparently he's going to be going there this weekend and will start mini camps next week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he did not follow exactly the route of Brett Favre, but instead of going to the NFC North with the Minnesota Vikings, he's going to the AFC North. Is it fair to right now consider the Steelers as like what would be the Minnesota Vikings of the NFC North? Are the Steelers the Vikings of the AFC North, a team that kind of finishes second or third? They're not going to win the division, but they're not going to finish dead last.
The history of the Steelers would disagree with you. The Steelers.
Well, the history, absolutely. I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now.
I mean, right now, they could be third in that division, but third in that division is 9-8 still. It's not like being third in the AFC South where
yeah, but we're AFC North, NFC North. Both of those, I think you can make the argument, are the toughest divisions
right now.
in
Yeah,
football.
I would say right now they could be. So I don't think it's a great fit. I don't see how Tomlin and Rodgers are going to get along because they're both I am in charge here, and only one person can be in charge of the locker room.
It's going to be interesting. If anything, I think they start out hot because that's what the Steelers have.
Do.
Well, yeah, that's what they've been doing when they go out and they get these veteran quarterbacks and then they fall apart very late into the season. With Russell Wilson, they start Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. They started out late just to close out the season very poorly and then exit in the first round of the playoffs. So, I'm not very excited about this move, but we'll see how it plays out. Maybe Mike Tomlin can be the guy who gets through to Aaron Rodgers. Do I believe what I just said? No. No. But we'll see. If there is one coach, I would say two coaches, I think, maybe, and I don't think Dan Campbell would give it the time of day, but if there's a coach in the NFL who I think would have the best chance is the guy who dealt with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown for a while. No other team could really do it outside of Tom Brady, and the Bucs only did it because of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So
he just needs to go ahead and retire.
There you go. It's time for us to retire. It's time for us to take a break. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Text in your answer to the question of the day. What are the top 3 logos in all of sports? 850-215-6290. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
The finger pointing has started in New York, and most of the fingers are pointed at Karl Anthony Towns. So there were reports out of New York suggesting the team grew increasingly frustrated with Karl Anthony Towns' defensive habits throughout the playoffs. This isn't a new revelation.
It's the Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Thursday's weather forecast. A variety of mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms the rest of the day with temps near 85 and a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 78. About the same tomorrow, around 85 with mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms. A chance of thunderstorms Saturday and very warm around 85. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
TK Vandy Roofing and General Contracting is a fifth-generation contracting company based right here out of Bay County. TK Vandy's expertise in commercial and residential roofing, as well as a design-build general contractor, set them aside as a versatile and fresh alternative to achieve your construction needs. Contact TK Vandy Roofing, 850-866-9908, or email support@tkvandy.com. They can't wait to help you.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
No one wants to deal with a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It's even worse when you're not sure what it'll cost, when it'll get fixed, or if someone's just selling you something. When you call Hiller, you can trust our experts to actually solve your home's problems quickly. And with true transparency pricing, you know the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Book online now at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. You think you've been on your grind? The 11-year-old cashier at the Gin Gin puts in more hours than you.
Do any of you people do any actual work?
Just saying.
We might need to work on your sales pitch.
Less work and more play.
All right, show's over. Everybody back to work.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. This Doghouse was built by CBC Construction. You can visit their website at cbcconstruction.com. They are looking for a few good men, so go fill out an application and drop your resume there. You can also call them at 850-747-3815. That's 850-747-3815 for all of your construction needs. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Do us a favor and like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm David Hayes along with Leanne Swartzentruber, the coach's daughter, and James Fife. And you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida right here in beautiful Panama City, Florida. We're going to go up to Indiana as we have Mark Monteith on the line with us. Mark's going to be talking about the NBA Finals with us. He used to write for the Indy Star and great friend of Greg Calvert's, and now has talked about the NBA with us for a few years. Mark, how are you doing up there?
Doing great. Good to be with you guys again.
It is great to have you on with us. Man, that was awesome of the Indiana Pacers to dispatch of the Knicks in 6 games. What did you think of Pascal Siakam getting the Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah, that was a close vote. I was okay with it. Pascal was the most consistent player during that series. You know, Tyrese had some outstanding moments. You had game 1 shot that forced the overtime, as it turned out, and he was great in a couple other games. But he also had a really poor game in that series as well. So Pascal has been their most consistent player all year. And while I think he and Tyrese are both good leaders, Pascal's got that championship experience, having won with Toronto. And so I thought it was okay. It should have been a close vote. He was, you know, he had 3 30-point games in the series, I think. So I'm okay with that vote.
There you go. Mark, we had Rick Carlisle come out and say that when he first saw Tom Thibodeau being fired, that he thought it was AI. What did you think of the Knicks' move to go ahead and move on from Tom Thibodeau after getting them to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah. Well, Rick's always going to stand up for other coaches. He's been president of the Coaches Association for a while, and he always speaks up for them, and that's good. I read somebody say that it was surprising but not stunning, and I kind of agree with that. You know, certainly when you first saw it or heard it, it was a surprise, but when you really think about it, it's you know, I don't know, it does make sense on some level. He you know, there were certainly some criticisms leveled toward, number one, not playing the bench more, and when he did do it during that series, he had success doing it. Their defense wasn't always up to it. They couldn't play their 2 best players, Brunson and Towns, together that often because they really suffered defensively. And you would think somewhere along the way the coach and staff has to get those guys playing better defense. And he, just looking at him, he seemed such a dour, sour personality on the side. that you wonder if he kind of wears out the players. Now, the players seem to like him, but there was that one Nick, it was a Bridges, I think, who said, well, this series kind of exposed some of our issues. And when a player comes out and says something like that, then you really do wonder what's going on. So I know there are complaints about Brunson's dad being on the staff. And to me, that's always a red flag when you put a player's dad or brother or whatever on a coaching staff. It just seems to indicate favoritism. So there were hints of trouble. And I'd also agree with the old Larry Bird theory that after 3-4 years, the players tune out the coach, get tired of hearing the same things over and over, and you need to make a change. So the problem is, can you find somebody better? You know, I mean, Thibodeau wins everywhere he goes. He's obviously a good coach. He may not be a great coach, but he's a good coach. So can the Knicks find a better one? And I suppose there is somebody out there who could be better. Who that is, though, it's hard to say. I guess Mike Malone is the leader in the clubhouse because he's won a championship, but he got fired too. So it'll be interesting who they come up with there.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We are on the line right now with freelance writer, editor, author Mark Monteith. Mark, I've been seeing this all morning on ESPN on the various shows. Which team needs to win Game 1 more?
I would say Oklahoma City. If they lose Game 1, you know, suddenly the Pacers have home court advantage. They get a jolt of confidence. I mean, Oklahoma City is the favorite in the series, and they are for a reason. Best team in the league all year. So if they were to lose Game 1, that would send kind of some shockwaves, I think, through that whole city and really pump the Pacers up. Now, I believe in the old, saying that a playoff series doesn't begin until the visiting team wins a game. So, the Pacers could go down 0-2 and still win their home games and try to force a Game 7. They were down 0-2 to the Knicks last year in the conference semifinals. So I would think if Oklahoma City were to lose Game 1, it'd be a problem for them. Now, they could rebound from it, but still, I think it's more important to them. They're a new team in this situation. They've got to have some doubts. I'm sure the city today is really pumped up, and all that atmosphere might have a negative impact on the team. The players are hearing so much around the city today about how great they are and how excited everybody is. The Pacers, as a franchise throughout their history, their best playoff moments come on the road. I mean, they are a road playoff team. All three of their ABA titles were clinched on the road. You think of Reggie Miller's moments in Madison Square Garden. The current team, clinched the series in Cleveland. They won 2 games in New York. So that's kind of the Pacer history. And maybe it'll hold true tonight as well. But the best thing, obviously, for the Pacers tonight would be to win Game 1. To me, the second best thing would be to get blown out in Game 1, give Oklahoma City kind of a false sense of confidence and come back and surprise them in Game 2. I've seen that kind of thing play out over the years as well. But certainly more important to Oklahoma City, I think.
Does the lack of championship experience on the Thunder matter? Not like the Pacers are that much more experienced outside of Pascal Siakam and Alex Caruso for the Thunder playing there with the Lakers. But which team do you think the lack of championship experience will affect more throughout this series?
I would say Oklahoma City. I mean, the Pacers do have one guy, Siakam, who's won a championship. Rick Carlisle has been part of 6 teams that reach the finals, either as an assistant coach, a player, or a head coach. So I'm sure he's got knowledge he can pass on. Oklahoma City obviously has a good coach, but he doesn't have finals experience. So I think the Pacers have an advantage in that area. Not a huge one. It's not like these guys are defending champions or something like that. But I think the Pacers do have an edge there.
With the regular season matchup, Oklahoma City sweeping the Pacers 2-0. They won on the day after Christmas in a closely contested game where the Pacers actually had the lead, a 16-point lead in that game, and then ended up losing and then kind of got blown out later on in March. What role does the regular season matchups play for this series?
Yeah, I would say very little in this case. That might be something that gives Oklahoma City a little bit of false confidence. And the Pacers, you mentioned, having that 16-point lead and losing. That's been their scenario all year. You give them a comfortable double-figure lead, and they're almost guaranteed to blow it. They may not lose the game, but they're going to give back that lead. In that case, they did blow the game. So, I'm sure it helps the Pacers going into tonight's game, knowing they lost both. That's got to give them a little more focus. It probably has no impact on OKC, but if it has any, it might give them a false sense of confidence. So I don't think it'll really matter too much, but if it matters at all, I actually think it matters in favor of the Pacers.
What's Indiana's biggest challenge tonight in trying to contain Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yeah, they're going to have to throw bodies at him. I mean, hey, he's the league MVP, and nobody's been able to shut him down. The Pacers have a couple of outstanding perimeter defenders in Nembhard and Nesmith, and they, I'm sure, will use both of them and throw Ben Shepherd in there as well. So they'll throw bodies at him and try to keep people fresh and really make them work. But I don't think you could stop them. I mean, they haven't done it before, and I don't know that will happen now. But Rick Carlisle will come up with something. And again, I think what he'll come up with is using various bodies on him. Nembhard was outstanding defensively at times against Brunson, and Nesmith isn't bad against that kind of player. So there's no particular strategy. You just got to adhere to the fundamentals and show a lot of effort and stay out of foul trouble, because we know how good he is at drawing fouls, and referees, look for that. So you've got to be real careful what you do with your hands and not go for fakes and all the fundamental things to keep out of foul trouble.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 on your dial. We're on the line right now with the author of Reborn, which is about the Pacers and the return of pro basketball to Indianapolis, Mark Monteith. Mark, Pacers half-court offense to this point, 105.8 points per 100 possessions in the playoffs. The Thunder's half-court defense is giving up 88.6 points per 100 possessions. Who do you think we see win this battle throughout this series?
I would guess the Thunder in that case. In the half-court game, I think the Thunder have an edge. I mean, both teams like to run, but I think the Pacers truly have to run to score enough to win games. They've got to get out of transition, even after made shots, and try to score that way. If they start grinding it out, I think they're in trouble. Oklahoma City has some great defenders. Halliburton, while he can hit step-back threes, I think he's going to have a hard time scoring in this series against Dort. The Pacers are going to need somebody, whether it's Nesmith getting hot again like he did against the Knicks in that game, or Miles Turner hitting 3 or 4 3-pointers, if not more. They're going to need something like that, and they'll need their bench as well. They'll need guys like Mathurin off the bench to score. And their strength on offense is balance and depth, and they'll have to utilize that. I just don't see them outscoring Oklahoma City in a kind of grind-out half-court game. I think OKC's too good in that area.
Whose bench is really better? We've heard a lot about the Pacers' depth throughout their run in the 2025 playoffs, but also the Thunder are right there with them. In your opinion, Mark, who's got the better bench?
Well, I'm a lot more familiar with the Pacer bench, so I guess I would give them the nod. I can't claim to be an expert at all on Oklahoma City's bench, but I really like the Pacers' depth. I mean, they go at least 10 deep. They utilized everybody in that series against the Knicks and got contributions from everybody. And I'm not sure about the deep end of Oklahoma City's bench and how dependable that would be, but just speaking off the top of my head, I think I'd give that edge to the Pacers.
What is the best option defensively for the Pacers to try to slow down Chet Holmgren without sacrificing the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, that would be tough. That's a tough matchup because they don't have, he's a 7-footer and can score on the perimeter. I mean, a truly gifted player and athlete. And I guess, Siakam is that guy. Turner can't stay with him. Siakam has taken on some tough assignments with Antetokounmpo and other guys. So I guess he'll have to do it again, but that'll be a crucial matchup. And, Siakam has to stay out of foul trouble. They need him, obviously, in the game for offense. He's the one guy that can create a shot if the shot clock is running down. So it's going to be a crucial matchup. I think it'll be primarily his responsibility. Otherwise, they could throw a shorter guy like Neesmith out there and hope for the best. But that's a tough cover. And I think that if you had to pick one matchup that is maybe the most important of the series, I think that could be a good one.
We saw Thomas Bryant explode for a few threes in Game 6. I didn't even know he could shoot the three ball like that. Do we see more of Thomas Bryant in this series, or what do you think there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like him. He got sat down against the Knicks because he had a hard time rebounding against Towns. He's not a real physical player. But to me, he's no worse a rebounder than Turner. I mean, Turner's not a great rebounder either. I like Bryant. And he's got, you look at his career percentages, he's actually a better three-point shooter than Miles Turner. And that's kind of Miles Turner's calling card other than blocking shots. Bryant runs the floor well. You look at a per 36-minute stat line. If you take out the issue of playing time, Bryant is actually a better rebounder than Turner. He is not quite the shot blocker that Turner is, but he's close. So I don't mind Bryant being in the game at all. I think he needs to play with a little more confidence. But I think he'll be good in this series because I think it's a series where running will be even more important than usual for the Pacers, and he fits that. I hope he plays with confidence. If he gets some shots to go down early, it'll really help him. So I think he could be a key factor. I think he'll go back to being the backup center instead of Bradley, who kind of took on that role against the Knicks. I think Bryant will be an important player in this series.
Who is, speaking of important, who's the X factor for the Indiana Pacers in this series? I'm going to go with one of three guys. I think it'll be on a rotation. Obviously, you know what Tyrese Halliburton, what Pascal Siakam, and even Miles Turner need to do. But out of Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, and Aaron Neesmith, I think one of those three guys will be on a rotation of the X factor. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I would say one of those three guys has to play well in each game. They don't have to play well in every game necessarily, but in each game, one of those guys is going to need to step up. I think the ultimate X factor will be Mathurin. He's capable of a big game, and he's had 30-point games. He's capable of stepping out and getting, hitting 5 3-pointers, and he's great at taking the ball to the basket and drawing fouls. He needs to not get too caught up into little individual skirmishes and trash talking and things like that. He gets distracted a little too easily within the course of a game. Once he gets over that, I think he's going to be a really good player. He's an alpha, and the Pacers need that. Neesmith and Nembhard are, for the most part, dependable, although Nembhard disappeared for 3 games in that Knicks series and then came back in Game 6. But I think Mathurin is the guy who you don't quite know what you're going to get, but there's always the possibility of getting something really good. And I think if he steps up and plays with more maturity, I think he could be an X factor for the Pacers.
What moment from this playoff run, Mark, feels like the defining image of this team to this point in the playoffs?
I would say there's a couple things. I guess you could take Game 1 against the Knicks when Halliburton hit that crazy shot, bouncing it off the back of the rim, and then they seem to have had fate in their pocket throughout the season, really. They have had so many dramatic comebacks and won so many games where you thought they were out of it. Being down 7 with 40 seconds to go, that kind of thing. They've been down 13 with just a couple minutes to go. That game kind of summarized what they've been able to do, and you wonder, is their luck going to run out at some point? But they've been on that roll, and they certainly have confidence, in those situations to make the comebacks and to produce in the final minute of a game. So that's one image. The other, to me, though, I guess would be Game 6 when they wrapped it up, when you get just a wide variety of contributions. Their ultimate strength is their balance and depth. I guess if you look for a superpower, that would be it. And they kind of displayed that in Game 6. Just about everybody played well, made important contributions, including the bench, and I think they're going to have that as well. So their comeback ability, their their ability to tempt fate and come out on top, then also their balance and depth.
What would a championship do for Halliburton's place in Pacers and in NBA history?
Oh, yeah. It'd be huge. It'd be huge. I wrote an article for this week, a publication, where I said the Pacers have finally found their next Reggie Miller, their next great player that you can count on over the course of his career who will stay with the Pacers. They thought they had that in Paul George. And he was a better player than Reggie Miller and was making all-star teams left and right and was really looking like an MVP candidate. And then he got hurt, and then he didn't want to be part of a rebuild, and he asked for a trade, and he was always telling people he wanted to get back to L.A. eventually, where he grew up in that area. And as soon as the Pacers were not looking like a contending team, he was going to try to get out. So that didn't work out. Then they bring in Oladipo, and he was wildly popular and an all-star and like all first team, all defense and a clutch player. And he was declaring, "This is my city," after hitting a game-winning shot, and everything looked great for Oladipo. Then he got hurt and never could come back. I mean, he hasn't retired, but he hasn't played in 2 years. So I feel bad for him. But, his agent wanted a major contract, and the Pacers wisely said, "No, you're not healthy. We can't give you a max contract or a 5-year deal." So that didn't work out. But now comes Halliburton, and it's working out. He's got his contract. He's going to be here, for years to come. He's happy in Indianapolis. He's a Midwestern guy. It's not like he's trying to get back to Oshkosh to continue his NBA career. So they have found the next Reggie Miller, the next guy who they can always build around and count on. And while he's had, bad games in the playoffs, he's not, Michael Jordan by any stretch of the imagination. He has, I think, proven himself to be a great player, capable of huge games, producing triple-doubles in the playoffs, which maybe only a half a dozen Pacers have ever done. So he's the next guy. And if they were to win a championship, and obviously he would have to play well for that to happen, that just solidifies him as the man. Reggie Miller, it haunts him to this day that he did not play on a championship team. So if Halliburton were able to do that, he would eclipse Reggie Miller as like the ultimate NBA Pacer.
Wow. How awesome would that? I mean, Reggie Miller is my favorite basketball player of all time, but golly, how awesome would that be? I guess that would have to be the next jersey that I end up getting. Mark, we're up against a break. Thanks so much for your time, and let's try to touch base next week after we see these first 2 games of the series.
Okay, happy to do it, guys.
All right, Mark Monteith, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you're traveling northbound on Navy Boulevard, there is a boat that has found its way off of the trailer. Looks to be right there near the Navy base, kind of where Burger King is. Yeah. So be careful. Northbound towards Navy Boulevard. Also, then you have eastbound eastbound 98 Hathaway Bridge lanes are closed. There is a female biker down. Emergency is on scene. Thanks to Josie on the Go for sharing these on her Facebook page. Y'all be careful out.
How am I supposed to get home?
Well, me
too.
We got an hour and 15 minutes.
Unless
and we hope that they get it all cleared up. And if they don't, then we wait in. Well, we're talking about things that are a little bit bigger than our timelines of how we get home. Like there's a female biker down.
Yeah,
so thoughts and prayers with her first and foremost. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, it'll be time for trivia and our call-in, text-in question of the afternoon conversation. This is the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers have something in common. Neither take the duty of quarterback with great urgency. The Pittsburgh Steelers lost their left tackle, their 2 quarterbacks, their top receiver, and a really good running back in Najee Harris. And their answer is, I think Aaron's our quarterback. We're not really sure.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Thursday's weather forecast. A variety of mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms the rest of the day with temps near 85 and a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 78. About the same tomorrow, around 85 with mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms. A chance of thunderstorms Saturday and very warm around 85. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Wahoo's Express Car Wash is now open and proud to be your local go-to car wash, offering top quality service with a personal touch. Their monthly membership plans make it easy and affordable to keep your car looking its best all year round. Wahoo's Express Car Wash has advanced equipment and an experienced team to ensure every vehicle leaves sparkling clean. Committed to fast, friendly service and spotless results every time. Come see the difference at Wahoo's Express Car Wash, intersection of Michigan Avenue and 23rd Street.
Hi folks, it's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, she has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse, brought to you by CBC Construction. You can go to cbcconstruction.com or call them at 850-747-3815 for all of your construction needs. The 4th annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue, all proceeds will go to benefit hurricane relief efforts spearheaded by Chef Ross. Dinner tickets for Notorious P.I.G. are going to be $20. That's what we named.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's what the vote
you ought to go with my vote.
No, what yours was Wilbur.
Wilbur, yeah.
Yeah, Coach Butch Bernard actually came out with
I love that.
With Notorious P.I.G. And that's funny because Chef Ross was going to do Piggy Small, so it just worked out perfectly. But yeah, to get you a plate of Notorious P.I.G., it's just going to be $20. Pool tournament is 1 p.m., and that'll be $15. He's also selling mulligans along with that. All of this in honor of Chef Ross's dad, Ron Pops Robinson, which Leanne can attest to. An absolutely great
wonderful
man. And this
Such
is
a
not
sweetheart.
Yes, he absolutely was. Missed the times when Chef Ross would come in for Fan Friday. He'd be on the couch, and just in our breaks were some of the best conversations. This is not this Saturday, but next Saturday, June 14th, from 12 to 6 p.m. at the Break Room, 2727 Joan Avenue. Our great sponsors for that, Golf Plus. We got ESPN Northwest Florida, Pineapple Willie's, and of course, tell everybody, Leanne Sports Intruder, the coach's daughter, about Team MVP. Brought to you by Epic Realty. This
there
very
you
small
go.
print over here, so
yeah,
just had to
that's
make
really
sure.
good. Yeah, no, things
You
are
can
going
pay
great
me for that daily.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I will say the interest rates are coming down a little bit. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit. But sales prices are kind of holding steady. It's just taking a little bit longer for houses to actually sell. That's really the only difference right now. So, but it's pretty good. We're busy.
What is the number for people to get a hold of you, Leanne?
850-774-3186, or you can just Google Leanne. Just type in Leanne, MVP of Real Estate, and my Facebook page will come up.
All right. And you are also the author of a new book, which is called Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss.
That's right.
Great title, first and foremost, young lady.
I know. And this is free. So
Hold it up to the camera so we can see it this way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, James. How would you know that? You're just the producer. You're just one that knows all the tricks and what we're supposed to do. It is a free book, so you can get a digital version, or if you want a hard copy, I can get that to you. But basically, it's just telling sellers, if you want to sell your house, and you want to get top dollar for it, you need to read this book and follow the tips. And if it gets too overwhelming and you decide you need someone else to help you,
you just call that number.
You just call the MVP of Real Estate, Leanne Schwarzentuber, and we will take care of you.
There you go. Great stuff. So excited for you. That is so
Thank
cool.
you.
And
Thank
you got any more in the works?
I sure do. I have a couple more coming, some geared more towards buyers and the whole process. People going through things like they've lost a family member and they're going through probate, and that gets really tricky with real estate. And also for people that unfortunately may be going through a marriage breakup. I can actually help you with that. I've done that many times with both parties, and you have to be neutral and you have to help them work through everything, and for some reason I'm good at that. I'm not sure how or why, but I don't know. I have a heart to help people, and that's the biggest part of my job.
There you go. We got someone for you to help already. Morgan Hilliard, who does Wednesdays with us here on the Afternoon Underdogs, talk about college baseball. Really, just about them Aggies. But no, she asked if she can if you can send that to her, but if she wants a physical copy, you can just leave one here with me, and then I'll give it to her Wednesday.
Sure.
There
Sounds
you go.
good.
But also, so this is physical and digital.
That's right. I can send, I can email her the digital copy if she wants that, or if she wants a hard copy, I can get that to her.
All right. Well, there you go. If you're interested, you can text us at 850-215-6290 on the Red 7T's phone line. We'll get you hooked up with a book. If you're a real estate agent out there and you're tired of hearing Leanne talk about it, pay me some money, and then we'll start talking about you instead of her. No, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding. I would read the latest comment from Kate Van Rick, but I don't think that's appropriate. So we're going to go to our Hiller Plumbing traffic jamming trivia question. Our confident service technicians will provide you with a solution for any home plumbing, heating, or cooling problem. Let us show you how we can make you a happy Hiller customer. Contact your trusted, licensed technician in Panama City today at 850-290-4341 or visit their website, happyhiller.com. Who is the only NBA Finals MVP winner without a career All-Star appearance? Who's the only NBA Finals MVP winner without a career All-Star appearance? Call now on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. This is multiple choice, so you will get 4 choices. You don't got to go Googling. You can come here and guess. All right, our logo conversation of the afternoon, the text in, call in question of the day was, what are the top 3 logos in all of sports? And we had a few comments on the Facebook post that I put up, so we'll dive into those, then we'll give our answers. Of course, per usual, I have the most comments here, or the most, not the most comments, I have the most I just make multiple lists every time that we do something like this, just in case we're not going to have enough content. It really is.
Yeah, so, I like having the categories within that 3 because it's really hard to...
Well, you can thank Morgan for that, actually, because she had commented on their easily remembered or personal favorites. So I'm like, well, we'll do personal favorites, we'll do most memorable, and then I'll do one for each sport that's not my team. So Nick Perry, we'll start off with him. He's got the Bruins, the Celtics, and the Raptors. The Raptors is an all-time classic. So are the other 2, no doubt about that. Morgan's answer to the question was easily remembered. She's going with the Chargers, the Red Sox, and the Arkansas Razorbacks. There you go. That's a great one. Personal favorite, Oilers, which I'm assuming she means Houston Oilers and not the Edmonton Oilers. But either way, both of those are good logos. LSU, the Eye of the Tiger logo. One of the best, no doubt. The Tulane Wave, that's a great one. And then the Old Sarge from A&M. Coach Manley going with Florida State, Middle Tennessee State, and Bay High. Those are 3 right there. Those are great. James Lehman going with, according to his coworkers, the Cowboy Star, the Yankees, and the LA Lakers. According to James, it's the Cowboy Star. Love them or hate them, that star is iconic. The OG Raptors logo or the Chicago Bulls, both of those really great logos. And then New York, you know who that is, which I'm assuming it would be the Yankees. He's got to be the Yankees. Jake Baxter going with Georgia. Simple yet elegant. He's a Bulldogs fan, so there, that's fine. Scott Price going with the Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. So there's a Pittsburgh type theme right there. Ethan Hewitt, Florida's Script Gators. That's a great one. Florida's Pell logo, which I'm not sure what that one is. And then the Florida's Fighting Gator logo, which I believe he posted a picture of that one, and that one's real cool. Definitely old school as well. His best unbiased logos: Coastal Carolina, shout out to Ryan, Boston Celtics, and the Baltimore Orioles. Whoop, whoop. Found a way to get them birds on there. Carla Goff going with Savannah Bananas.
Oh, yeah.
She comments, Morgan, they have a lot of mustaches, just saying. And we could read off their comments, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep that conversation private. There's nothing bad about the conversation at all. Caveman Rick going with best logo, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, as Morgan comment, and the Mustache Mafia. All right, what about for you guys? What's your personal favorites? I guess what we'll do is we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk some NHL Stanley Cup Finals with Andrew Weiss. And then at 5:20, we'll dive back into the logo section, or the logo conversation. We'll try to get an answer for trivia. We'll do some stat or cap. And then we've also got 3 subjects that the coach's daughter would like to talk about in the coach's daughter corner. Hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs is up next. Keep it locked into ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Is that what happened to you? It scared us to death. They're sneaky, they're fast, you can't get away from them, they're incredible. Anyway, what's that? Do that sound one more time.
Weekday morning 7 to 9, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Thursday's weather forecast. A variety of mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms the rest of the day with temps near 85 and a wind 8 to 12 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies tonight and a temperature of 78. About the same tomorrow, around 85 with mostly sunshine and a likelihood of thunderstorms. A chance of thunderstorms Saturday and very warm around 85. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
No one wants to deal with a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It's even worse when you're not sure what it'll cost, when it'll get fixed, or if someone's just selling you something. When you call Hiller, you can trust our experts to actually solve your home's problems quickly. And with true transparency pricing, you know the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Book online now at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
I'm a happy face truck today.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
GSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Hometown sports talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hour number 2 here, learning on the breaks about a little bit of everything. It's been too long since I've seen the coach's daughter, Leanne Schwarzentroober, James Fife on the 1s and 2s. I'm David Hayes, and we are the Afternoon Underdogs. A little bit of a baseball update for you. The Mets are on top of the Dodgers 4-3 in the 6th inning. Great ball game brewing over there. A lot better than what we saw earlier this afternoon from our Atlanta Braves, who squandered a 7-run lead well, a 6-run lead, gave up 7 in the 9th to lose. But we are the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Atlanta Braves do not play again tonight, but they will play tomorrow. Coverage starting at 8 o'clock, 9:15 for the first pitch. Atlanta Braves baseball on ESPN Northwest Florida, taking on the San Francisco Giants, sponsored locally by Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control. We're going to go over to the Red 7T's phone line, where we've got our NHL ambassador on the line with us, Andrew Weiss. Andrew, how are you doing today on this Thursday afternoon?
I'm doing great. Got to watch some Stanley Cup final hockey last night. It's always a good thing when you're in the heart of the playoffs in the NHL season, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then they take like daggum 2 weeks to even get a game going just because of how dominant the Eastern and the Western Conference Finals champions were. But we are back in it, and next game 2 will be Friday night. But first, let's talk a couple of things pertaining to the Tampa Bay Lightning. What did you think of them locking up Yanni Gourde? I was a huge fan of him before we let him go over there to the Seattle Kraken. Love the fact that we got him in the trade for Alexander Oleksiak, and then locking him up for, I believe, 4 years. What do you think of the Bolts move there?
Yeah, I think it's a really good piece of business from Julian Breezeball and the Lightning. This is a guy, Yanni Gourde is a guy who is a heart and soul type player. They didn't really have that for most of the year last year outside of Brandon Hagel. They have some guys who are definitely, jumpy, ready to, to go at a guy and drag you into the fight, but they really need someone who's going to really pull you in and say, all right, I'm going out here, I'm going to go, be a pest, I'm going to go bleed and die for this team. Like, you guys better be doing the same with me. And that's kind of what they're missing when Pat Maroon left town. Corey Perry, guys like that. It's not something you're going to see on a stat sheet. It's something that's a very underrated part of the game, as we forget that these guys are human beings. So you're not going to see, heart per 60 or, grit and soul, per game analytics out there, right? It's something that's just in the locker room you don't really get to see, but it's something that's important. These guys, sometimes your emotions will get the best of you. We saw it in 2019 when they lost to Columbus in the playoffs for the Lightning, and the last few years they've had success. They had guys who were basically grabbing their teammates and pulling them into a fight and building that team family environment that, incentivized playing with a lot of soul, and that's what a guy like Yanni Gourde does. And not just that, he's also a great point producer. He's not like a Nikita Kucherov, he's not like a Brandon Hagel, but that's a guy that'll give you, close to 20 goals, 15 to 20 goals, 50 points. That's something that they desperately needed to add in last year. They got at the deadline. Definitely a great addition, and there's a lot of term for a guy his age, but it's really to drive down the price, and getting him under $3 million for what he provides is definitely a nice piece of business.
And you mentioned Nikita Kucherov. He just got the Ted Lindsay Award, the most outstanding player, voted by the players. Huge accomplishment for him. Second time that he's won that award. But we know that the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the league, voted on by the writers. Do you think that his Russian background will hold him back from winning the Hart Trophy this year?
Unfortunately, I do. I don't think it's everything. I think, to be honest, it's not because of what's happening in the world right now with Russia. I think that plays a partial role for sure, but the quote-unquote anti-Russian bias or the impact of being a Russian player, that's something that's been evident for decades. That's something that's, Alex Ovechkin had to go through it, to prove, like, hey, like, I'm one of the greatest. Like, he had to literally become the greatest goal scorer of all time. He was obviously always very good, but there's always a little bit of a bias, and I think part of it too is the fact of the Russian personality. They are not, incredibly outgoing in general, and then when you look at hockey players as a whole, that's a very quiet group. But Nikita Kucherov, strikes me as an introvert, and that's, someone in his native tongue, let alone in English. So, just because the media doesn't get to see his personality as much as his teammates get to see it, as the fans get to see it, maybe he's not the most open guy in a media scrum because he's answering questions that, could be loaded questions in a language that's not his native tongue. Just because there's some kind of, general, oh, he's a gruff guy, oh, he's not fun, oh, whatever, blah, 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 that I'm sure impacts some media. You look at last year, the vote, Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon, you can make very good arguments for either one of those players. I don't have an argument against Nathan MacKinnon winning it. I think the interesting thing to me was, if you look at the voting discrepancy, McKinnon had a good share of first-place votes, just like Kucherov did, but then a lot of his votes came in second place after that if he didn't get a first-place vote from a writer, whereas Kucherov had a lot more second, third, fourth, fifth off-ballot votes. And I think part of it is because of natural bias from some people. I don't think it's necessarily strictly because, it's a Russian player. I think it's just because he's a quieter guy. He's not the most outgoing. NHL skills competition ruffled some feathers because he didn't want to be there, which in fairness, a lot of players don't want to be there. So I'm not going to blame him for not trying in that. But unfortunately, I think that's something you're always going to see with the media. They create storylines. They like storylines. The entire year last year, it was, McKinnon's going to get his first, even though him and Kucherov, you could argue, were equals in terms of a potential vote. And it didn't end up that way. The media likes a storyline. With a small market like Tampa and a guy like Kucherov, they're not going to give him that storyline benefit.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with Andrew Weiss. He is our NHL guy. Did Game 1 change your mind, or did it cement your prediction for the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah, definitely cemented my prediction of this is going to be some fun hockey. Yeah. I mean, these are two teams that quite literally came down to one goal last year in Game 7. That a series that Florida was up 3-0 in, and Edmonton was still just good enough to come back and make it a 7-game series. They're very evenly matched. We saw it last year. They've both gotten better this season, and they've both made good strides. Last night was the first time under Paul Maurice that Florida, going into a period with the lead, blew that lead and lost. They have won every single time they've gone into the second or third period with a lead under Paul Maurice. I think now it's 29-1 because the Oilers came back from a 3-1 deficit with a very inspired third period of play. That's just incredible and something that would not have happened, last year maybe or in the years past. The Oilers still have a very big question mark in Stuart Skinner, but we talked about it in previous conversations. This Edmonton team keeps finding ways to win games that they shouldn't. They're pulling wins, out of their bag here that other teams just aren't able to do. And it gives you that quote-unquote team of destiny kind of vibe that makes you think maybe this is finally the year where McDavid and Draisaitl break through.
Which team, we saw it last night, the Edmonton Oilers prevail in the clutch moments, winning that game in overtime. Is that going to be the consistent theme, or would you say that there's an argument to be made that the Panthers are the better team in the clutch? So the question, what team is better in the clutch?
Honestly, it's really hard to tell. These two teams, again, they're so evenly matched. It's quite honestly a coin flip in my mind. The stars are better for Edmonton in terms of guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and what they can do, their ceiling. But there's a lot more consistency from Florida up and down in their lineup. So it's so tough. But, guys like McDavid, Draisaitl last night, those two combined for the game-winning goal. They combined to make some big plays. Draisaitl scoring in the first, 90 seconds of the game. McDavid with a big assist late in the third to get the game tied up. These are guys that make plays. And we've seen it from the Panthers the last 3 years. We've seen it from the Panthers. Matt Tkachuk, Barkov, Carter Verhaeghe comes in and makes plays. Their defense has been sensational. To me, honestly, it's genuinely a coin flip. Last night could have gone either team's way. I don't think one team dominated so much more than the other. I think that I thought overtime's toss-up. It came down to a literal black and white by the rule book penalty had to be called to put the Oilers on the power play that helped them get the win on that man advantage. But this could go 7 games with every game being in overtime, and I wouldn't blink twice. That's how close I think these two teams are to matchup.
Well, who do you think will end up being the better playoff performer? We saw them both last year, but will it be Tkachuk or Draisaitl?
I think it's Draisaitl, and I think the big thing is I think Tkachuk still, it's not a diss to him whatsoever. I think he's a really good player. I think there's still a little bit of lingering effect from that injury that he suffered in the Four Nations that held him out until Game 1 of the playoffs. Relative, obviously, he's still one of the best players in the world, so its impact can still be big enough to notice it, right? I don't think he's taking over this playoffs like he really was last year, the year before, where he's making these huge clutch plays. He's still making big plays. But Draisaitl, that's the thing that people forget. Last season, Draisaitl was the one that was hurt. He was the one banged up going to that Cup final after suffering an injury. I think it was in the Western Conference Finals. He still played, but he definitely wasn't 100%. He's 100% this year. And you're seeing in the playoffs. This is a guy that right now, if the series had ended last night, your Conn Smythe winner would have been Leon Draisaitl. So if he continues playing the way he has been playing, to me, that's a guy that, can literally change a series by himself.
There you go. What's the biggest X factor in this series, Andrew? Is it Florida's grit or Edmonton's speed? What will we see be the biggest X factor or the bigger X factor as we move throughout this series?
I think out of those two, I'm going to say Edmonton's speed, but not necessarily their skating. I think it's mental. And it has to do with the fact that this Florida team is so good on the forecheck. They're so good. They get on you quick. It's any of the three guys that are out there on the ice forward-wise for this team can jump up there, and they will throw their body at you. They will make you pay the price for playing the puck. But you have to have the puck. Edmonton's biggest strength, as we've seen all postseason, is the fact that they have very smart, very quick breakouts from their defense. Their defense does a great job of ensuring that the puck gets out of their zone. They move it very quickly. They have some speedy forwards, and that helps. But these Edmonton defensemen, they have wheels themselves. They're able to move around themselves, but they also can make quick passes very, very well. And that's something that the Lightning struggled with, especially on their bottom pairing. The Hurricanes struggled with significantly. They could not handle that Florida forecheck. The Maple Leafs did a decent job, depending on who was out there. But this Edmonton team, top to bottom, even guys like Brett Kulak, that you don't necessarily know of. Like, obviously, it's going to be Evan Bouchard. Darnell Nurse has been fine. There's some very good. Matthias Ekholm has been great to see him back in action. He's a very big part of what Edmonton does. But that decor for Edmonton, it's not just the ability to defend; it's the ability to break out. That makes a huge difference against a forecheck-heavy team like the Florida Panthers.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Right now, we are on the line with Andrew Weiss. Andrew, how many cups would Connor McDavid need to be on Gretzky's level, if that's even a possibility?
To be honest, I don't think anyone's ever going to get on Gretzky's level. Rightfully so, we made a huge deal out of Alex Ovechkin passing Gretzky's goal record, and that wasn't even the thing Gretzky was known for. His assists alone are still the most points of all time without the goals included. So that's a guy that, when you talk about sports that, have debates over who's the greatest, LeBron and Michael Jordan, who's the greatest, baseball, who's the great, hockey has always been, and honestly for a long time, if not forever, will be Wayne Gretzky just because of all the success that he had. That said, it wasn't just points for Gretzky. It was the dominance of getting all those Stanley Cups as well, right? So it was the points, it was the Cups. McDavid's gotten an incredible amount of points at such a young age. He's honestly very close, if not already, on that NHL Mount Rushmore of talented players, right? Like, obviously it depends. Like, if he stopped his career today, there'd be a lot of questions of where he'd finish. But if he continues with the gradual aging decline, even accounted for, this is a guy that you're going to have on Mount Rushmore of players of all time. Reaching Gretzky status is honestly something that I don't know if anyone will ever do. If anyone could do it, it could be McDavid. But if you're looking at cups, in order to surpass Gretzky, it's not going to be in points, it's going to be in cups, and you're going to have more than one hand of rings to prove it. So it's going to be very tough for that to happen. But, the numbers got to start with at least 5 or 6 in that regard if you're going to surpass Wayne Gretzky.
He's got to get one to get to those. I figured that was going to be the answer. Andrew, if you got to pick one player from each team that you would want mic'd up for the entire series, who would it be?
It's hard not to pick Matt Tkachuk, but how can you pick anyone besides Brad Marchand on the Florida Panthers?
Yeah.
That's a guy that has been nominated year in and year out for, most loquacious, right? The most trash-talking, most talkative, most in-your-face, most nonsensical dude out there. And he has a personality to him as well that seems like he would be very comfortable on and off the ice to do some fun stuff like that. So, honestly, it would definitely have to be him for me on that side. On the other side of things, Edmonton, there's quite a few interesting personalities. Connor Brown is a very sneaky, underrated guy with a personality for Edmonton that would be interesting to see. I would probably say Evander Kane, just for the sole purpose of he is their big power forward. He's going to go out there. He also loves to run his mouth in good ways and bad. So just to get the pure, benefit of the entire spectrum of content, right? From lighthearted stuff to stuff you have to censor. Those two guys would provide just about everything you need.
Give me a bold prediction for this series.
Bold prediction. I will say that, oh boy, there's so many interesting things that go through my head, but I will say that every game has at least 6 goals scored. I think there's definitely a possibility of some 2-1s, some 3-2s, for sure. I really think that you're going to see a lot of 4-2, 4-3, even some 5-4 shootout kind of games because, Edmonton, they can play that, grinding style. We saw it against Vegas. They can shut teams down. But I keep doubting him, and maybe I'm going to keep being proved wrong, but I can't see Stuart Skinner and the Oilers playing 2-1 hockey against the Florida Panthers, whether the Panthers play. Like, that's a team that you got to put some rules on. And Bobrovsky's very good. It's going to be tough. But, I could definitely see when if the Oilers lose games, they're going to lose with quite a few goals scored against. So I think that would help that argument. And then when the Oilers win games, it's got to be kind of like last night where you got to grind your way to a 4-3. Maybe 6 is too high. Maybe I'll say at least 5 goals every game just so I can bake in that 3-2 final. But I don't think you're going to see a 2-1, a 2-0 game in this series just because of how good Florida is in that style of game. And if Florida's winning, they're putting goals on Stuart Skinner.
What stands out to you more? Is it the start that the Panthers had going up 3-1 early in the second period, or is it the fact that the Edmonton Oilers answered with 3 unanswered goals? Was it the start or the finish that stood out to you more for the Florida Panthers?
I'd say the finish for sure, just because, again, this is a Florida team that was 29-0 under Paul Maurice when it came to defending a lead after a period. And that's a stat that's absolutely bonkers. I can't put into words effectively how impressive of a start that is to go your first 29 games with the league going to a period and not blowing it, not losing a game. Like, that's incredibly hard to do because hockey has so much variance. And a 2-goal lead, they say, is the most dangerous lead in hockey. There's a reason for it because it genuinely, like, anything can happen in this sport. You could have a goalie out of nowhere put up a 54-save shutout after being the worst goal in the world. You could have the best goal in the world give up 6 goals on 8 shots. Like, you never know what can happen in this game. So, with that said, the Panthers have been so good at shutting teams down and limiting chances. I mean, that second period was all Florida. They dominated. I was like, oh, here we go. Here comes the Panthers that we've seen the last few years. But then Edmonton flipped the switch. Third period, they took over that game. And I thought they were going to win it in regulation the way they were playing that third period. Yeah. So I think the finish is more surprising just because Florida, for the last 3 years, has proven how good they are at just absolutely erasing teams from games when they have a lead. And Edmonton, in the series where they needed it most, the Stanley Cup Final, every win matters. It doesn't matter if you win pretty. You can win ugly. A win's a win. It's the first of 4. You got 1 now. So to me, that's the biggest thing is Edmonton basically not only proved to the world, hey, we're just as good, if not better. They proved to themselves, hey, we're behind. We're good enough to come back. They had the resolve that I don't know if they would have had last year to the same extent.
And Andrew, our final question for you. Give me one player from each team to watch in Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that's been the subject of almost every conversation the last few series has been Sam Bennett for Florida, for better or worse. He is sensational at scoring some gritty goals. He is the second player in NHL history to have, what was the number, 11, I believe, road goals in one postseason. He has been a menace in scoring goals. He leads the Panthers in that regard. But he's a guy that's physical. He plays with an edge. He walks that fine line. For better or worse, you notice him when he's out there. So that's a guy that you want to watch because things will happen when he's on the ice. And the other guy, I want to tell you the obvious. I want to say Connor McDavid. I want to tell you Leon Draisaitl. I want to tell you Edmonton, all these different guys. Evan Bouchard. So much talent, so much skill. They can do so much. Here's a guy that I really think will provide some similar Sam Bennett-like antics, but also makes an impact that you might not notice until you're watching the replay, and that's Corey Perry for the Edmonton Oilers. Here's a guy that's been in the league for so long. Look at the game-winning goal last night. It's such a small play. It's so small, the broadcaster didn't even get a chance to say his name. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has the puck along the near side wall. He plays it down low to the corner for Corey Perry. He looks over his shoulder. Watch his eyes. When you go back and watch the replay, watch his eyes. He looks over. He sees the defender not taking the gap between McDavid and Perry, but going right at Perry. That's how the Panthers' penalty kill works. That's why Seth Jones is all the way at the point trying to be aggressive on Ryan Nugent-Hopkins because they grab the guy and they're extremely aggressive to try to force a play to happen. And the Oilers are a team that can make plays happen. But Corey Perry saw the defender stepping up to him immediately, and instantly, quick little pass right to Connor McDavid, creates a 2-on-1 down low where McDavid is able to feed Draisaitl for the game-winning goal. It's such a small play, but there's a reason they trust him out there. It's because he's able to do things like this. He knows the game. His foot speed's not there anymore. He's an older guy. He's not going to blaze by you. He's not going to go put up 50-goal seasons like he used to, but he's so smart. He knows the game. He can play gritty. He can get in the right areas. That's the guy that every roster should be looking at adding next season if he's a free agent. And I'm not saying pay him $8 million, but that's the guy that on your fourth line, or have him jump up and play middle six or top line or wherever you need him, power play, he can do it. And he will do it with such a smart way of seeing the game.
I love it. Great stuff. Andrew Weiss, we will catch up with you next week. We should have plenty of time to catch up with you next week, depending on how the series is looking. We appreciate you, and have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on as always, and give my best to everyone over there.
And there we go. Andrew Weiss, y'all go give him a follow on Twitter, especially if you like memes, because he is the meme king, especially after the Tampa Bay Lightning win, which it's been a while since we've seen that because the season's over.
Yeah.
But next year, regular season, make sure you're looking out for the memes there, brought to you by Andrew Weiss. Go follow him on Twitter at Weiss Hockey Talk. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. When we get back, we're going to dive back into our logo conversation, get our answers for that, and then Leanne has got a slew of notes over there that I don't know what they are, but we're going to find out when we get back.
Come on vacation.
Summer vacation. Hey, how's your vacation going?
Leave on probation.
Sheriff's deputies in Panama City Beach arresting 161 people during an out-of-control spring break weekend.
Welcome to the Emerald Coast. Have a great time on the beautiful beaches, but not like end up in the back of a police cruiser great. A friendly reminder from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 78 with wind 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the southwest. A likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a gentle breeze and quite warm near 84. A possibility of thunderstorms and some sun, 86 in the afternoon and evening. 86 and mostly sunshine and possible thunderstorms with a gentle breeze Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Discover the new Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia and test drive the new 2025 Kia. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The 2025 Kia SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2025 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorrento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury of a 2025 Kia K5 sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Performance, power, and design built for you. Spark inspiration in the all-electric 2025 EV9. It's a modern masterpiece, fast charging, rugged, and roomy. Bill Bird Kia is the original home for the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. You're listening to the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with the coach's daughter, Leanne Schwarzenegger, and James Fife. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3, right here in Panama City, Florida. Well, we're going to dive into our logo conversation at some point, but I want to dive into Leanne's notes, and I know that one of the notes has to do with our caller, who right now is on the Red 7T's phone line. So I guess we'll start there. Wright State Chris, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, friend?
I just looked at Hale State, the website, and they are keeping Justin as the pitching coach.
And I believe that was
one of my headlines. That is awesome, and I'm so glad you called in.
Yeah, so y'all go ahead and swoon over the maroon right here if y'all'd like to. But no, I'm excited about your friend getting retained. Wow. Oh, yes, that's perfect. Leanne's over here trying to shake this virtual cowbell. Oh, my goodness.
It's an app. It's called Pocket Cowbell. Get yours today.
I'm surprised I didn't hear. Maybe there was some for the Florida State game. I didn't hear any for the Northeastern game. So I was wondering if they confiscated everything or what. But I did not hear any cowbells.
Yeah, they told us we couldn't bring them. So I had my app, and I did ring it a few times.
Your earrings were cowbells, too.
Yes,
Did they ring?
were. They were ringing. That drove me crazy.
I bet.
It was so good to see you there. I thought that was so awesome that you and your son were there. And with Justin, I'm just tickled to death that they're keeping him as the pitching coach.
Yeah, I know that the players love him, and he did a great job of keeping that ship going. And I'm just wondering if it was the administration, forced the coach's hand, or if the coach saw what had happened over the last month and a half and realized that Justin was the right way to go. So I'm very happy too, because his wife Angie is 21 weeks pregnant, and no one wants to move when they're 21 weeks pregnant. So, so I'm just happy for them that they get to stay where they're at and don't have to move right away.
Yeah.
So,
Bulldog Nation is excited though. They wanted him to stay.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good, because we were hearing that the guy was going to bring in his own pitching coach. So maybe it was enough of the fans, and maybe it was enough of the administration to be where the coach is hey, this is the right thing to do, so we're going to do it. So
awesome.
It's good. It's good. So I'm happy for everybody, and I don't have to be mad at Mississippi State now. So.
Well, good, because there's enough other angst around here about my school, so at least somebody's in my corner. Somewhat.
Yep. You got one fan, at least for the time being.
There you go. They need it. They need it. Because I was hoping that you were going to be ticked off, and we'd be having this whole ordeal where Leanne would have to be backed into a corner trying to, stand up for Mississippi State. But no, here we are having this old joyous conversation and whatnot.
Happy.
Did you enjoy your time over there at Tallahassee?
Me or Leanne?
Well, Leanne, I'm going to ask her right after we get you off the line. But yes, you, my friend.
Yes, what I really like about Tallahassee, and I can't say this enough, is they have these huge fans in the grandstands, and it always keeps the wind circulating. So even if the field's 120 degrees, inside the stands is in the 80s. So it's a great venue. The field's kind of wonky. It's just the way that it's set up. It's the right field's all the. I don't know. I'm nitpicking now, but no, I had a great time. The drive there is not terrible. 20 wasn't necessarily too backed up the entire time. So everything about it was a really enjoyable experience. I didn't see them lose, so I don't have to live with that. Every enjoyable experience. I got to say hi to my buddy for a little bit. I got to hang out with his family. That was fun. And then I got to see one of my buddies that I played baseball with, too, and got to talk to him during the game. And then, you know what? It's just I don't get to talk a lot of baseball, especially a lot of college baseball, and just the little nuances that you see. So it was good being able to talk some baseball with some guys who are on the same, I don't want to say expertise because it makes me sound kind of snooty, but just the same level of knowledge a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you want to come share some of your nuances tomorrow afternoon, I know a guy who could, make that happen, brother. But we'll talk about that later. Wright State Chris, anything else? Actually, I got something for you. Your top 3 logos, just off the top of your head, across all sports. Doesn't matter which ones. You could stay in one singular sport, whatever. Your top 3 logos that just pop into the top of your head.
2 of them are going to be Detroit. I got to go with the Old English D for the Tigers, and then the Red Wings. They're just classic. And then the other one, I got to go with the U. Nothing crazy about it, but it's iconic. And everyone knows who the U is. And everyone's a university.
The
but
University of
Alabama.
Daggone right.
University of Alabama is the Old English Atlanta Braves with a mullet.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, can't forget about the mullet. Hey, Wright State Chris, thanks so much for the call, my friend.
Yep. Hey, Leanne, my new bestie. It was great meeting you.
Oh,
And,
I know it was. It was so good because most of the time I just know voices.
Yep, and I don't think Cecil's got the budget to go out to Oregon State, but, good luck to his Knowles. So.
There you go. All right, Lee.
See you later.
All right,
Thanks,
that's
Chris.
right. State Chris from the Red 17's phone line. If you guys would like to talk with Leanne or any of us here or anything, you can text or call in to the Red 17's phone line, 850-215-6290. Our confident service technicians will provide you with a solution for any home plumbing, heating, or cooling problem. Let us show you how we can make you a happy Hiller customer. Contact your trusted licensed technician in Panama City today at 850-290-4341 or visit their website at happyhiller.com. Leanne, what else do you want to talk about from your weekend and from your hiatus here from the Afternoon Underdogs?
I've really been busy, though. Like, I've been working. It
That's
hasn't
what
been,
she says. Every night before the show, she's like, I will 100% be there.
Tomorrow.
And then she texts me at 11 a.m. Well, I just don't feel like coming this afternoon.
That is not true. Well, one of the things I wanted to mention was about the pocket cowbell because my son sent that to me on, I think it was the day that last Friday when we were going to be going over to the game. And he and Carly went too. They were there all weekend. They went to all the games.
Nice.
Yeah. I only got to go to one because I came back because I had to work on the weekend.
Excuses.
No, well, Cecil went back over, though.
Fan.
He went, well... yeah, I'm a true fan because I'm still here.
Yeah,
I'm still wearing the colors, and I have all the cowbells.
I mean, you were spoiled by all those 2-win seasons, though, right?
Look, our baseball is something that we do. Yeah. We can brag about that, but then after we won the daggum national championship, it's like we could. The next year, that very next season, we didn't even make the SEC tournament.
Y'all hit the pinnacle and then just said, all right, back to the things that Mississippi State are great at, and that is ticking our fans off. Here we go now, milk the cows.
But see, that's the thing. We don't even get mad because we've been there so many times, but we do have higher expectations of baseball than anything else. Yeah. And, we've got a new coach. They announced Brian O'Connor. The only thing I'm kind of confused about is, he's been at Virginia for 30 years. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. But he's said he's always admired and respected Mississippi State baseball program. Ron Pohl, the things, the fan base and all that. And it was just time for a change, and he found this opportunity to be a good one to fit for him. But the thing that people keep saying is, well, Virginia, when's the last time they've been to the World Series?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So you sit there and you think about that. I've heard that a lot of his players have gone on the portal and they have put the do not contact tag on. So that tells me that maybe they're, several of them are going to come over with him. Mm-hmm. We've had a few that have left, but then we've got several that are our mainstay, our core players that are going to stay. So that's a good thing. But we're excited and hoping for the best, and that's just our motto. We're excited and we're hoping for the best. And it's every sport, every time we have a coaching change, every year. Maybe it'll come true.
Maybe it will. Maybe we'll see Mike Leach making it into the College Football Hall of Fame now that they've reversed those numbers a little bit.
I saw that. I think that's really cool that he's on the ballot for that because he is not only as a winner, he's been a winner just about everywhere he's been, but it's also his character and his personality. He really was, if you weren't even watching, if you weren't like a sports fan or a football fan, you would laugh at him and you knew who he was because of his crazy things that he would talk about in his press conferences, post-game press conferences. But I think it's cool to honor him in that way, and I hope that comes to fruition. But that was one of the things I was going to say. The other thing, did you see the video footage and heard all the information and the posts and stuff about Kevin O'Sullivan, the Florida head coach for baseball?
Yes.
Okay, this is not the first time this has happened. The guy's got some anger issues, but I really feel strongly that they are screwing up by just doing yet another public statement and apology. And I'm not saying this to make Florida fans mad or anything, but it's just unprofessional, and you're molding young men. That's not what you want to be teaching them.
Right.
And poor people that are working their butts off to get everything ready for the tournament, and then he's ticked because of a slight delay and to go off. But then when he started coming at kids from another baseball team, that's too much.
Shove the whiteboard up their rear end and then
that's
talking
over
to
the
some
top.
of the other ones. Yeah, that's
crossing the line.
That's, I mean, even talking to, as the, the Coastal Carolina coach Schnell, saying, talking about the grounds crew, like being the salt of the earth. I mean, that's biblical right there, you know? But yeah, to talk to people who are, doing their job the best that they can to provide an excellent surface for you guys to play on. I don't like that. I really don't like when people are in positions of power or authority and they talk down to the people who, yes, are those people easily replaceable? Everyone in the entire world is easily replaceable.
So is he.
But exactly, so is he. So I dislike when people from an authoritative position talk down on the people who are actually putting in the hardest of hard works. Yeah, like the kids are playing a game, but it's not easy to make sure that you keep the field looking pristine. And Chipper Jones got into that conversation as well. He got onto Twitter. We talked about this just a little bit yesterday.
I figured y'all did. I knew you would talk about it before I would be here, but everything that you just said about somebody using their authority position to abuse that's a bully.
Yeah. It is. That's exactly what it is.
And he's like a meathead anyway. And I almost wonder, is he on steroids or something to be so anxious and agitated like he was?
But see, here's the thing. I look at it from two different sides. I do not like it as a human being, personal.
Right.
I just do not like that. However, on the flip side, if it... like the competitive side of it is I don't like that situation. I don't mind that sort of attitude in the right setting, but not talking to people who are working on the grounds or people who are in connection, the administrators or the ambassadors to the NCAA at that point in time. And also you knew that this game was not taking place at the time that you thought it was the night before.
Right.
And if you didn't know that and you went to sleep too early or whatever, that's on you anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you had plenty of notifications in your phone. And so you were ticked off about that because it gave the team who already whooped you a little bit of extra time, and you didn't like that. And that's even more so to the bully aspect of it. So, yeah, not a huge fan of that, but I'm also a huge fan of second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances. So I'm not going to hold it against Sullivan. It's just one of those things that seems to be a pattern more so than an instance. And that is what it is. We're all human beings. Nothing that anyone does is going to surprise me. It's kind of like a boat being off of its trailer on Navy Boulevard. Does that surprise me? No. No, because things happen.
I know. But, even the FSU coach got ejected for something far less than what Kevin Sullivan did.
Yeah.
In public, that was caught on tape, that everybody could see.
Well, you had so many issues. You had the Florida State player yelling at the Mississippi State player saying, expletive, you little inbred expletive. You had the Wake Forest coach saying what he said out of the dugout. You had Georgia with their uniforms not being buttoned up all the way, and then the Kentucky player, or the Duke player rather, getting ejected for coming 2 steps out of the dugout with a construction hat on. So I think because there's more and more exposure on this. There's more and more people taking pictures or going through the recorded versions of whatever, snipping out the snippet and then putting it out and then causing this discussion. And then you'll have people like Chipper Jones commenting on it. And so that's where we just notice a lot more because we speak, because so many people have the authority, the social media authority to have an opinion on it. Yeah.
Well, what did Chipper Jones say? What was his take on it?
We'll read off the tweet here. He says, spent quite a bit of time watching college baseball this weekend. I will only watch a select few teams from here on out. Reason? They have coaches that respect the game and their opponents and demand the same of their players. Any team that doesn't wear the uni correctly, taunts the other team, and has a coach that condones this behavior is a disgrace to the game. Big fan of Coach Schnall at Coastal Carolina. Him and his team represent what college baseball should be like. Well done, sir. You stand for proper behavior. And then he's been lambasted by people. A whole bunch of Tennessee fans think that he's talking about them. And he goes on to say, I love Tennessee, but I think the three teams that he was talking about was Florida, Georgia, and the other one it could be Tennessee. He said that it wasn't. So,
well, I'm just not a fan of it in general, and anyway. So I was wondering what y'all thought about that. Outside of that, I think that was all my stuff as far as
But you have one
sports.
big thing. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that when we get back in our final segment of this Thursday afternoon. Hit us up on the Red 70s phone line, 850-215-6290. More from Leanne, and she's got something important that you don't want to miss when we get back.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike three.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 78 with wind 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the southwest. A likelihood of thunderstorms and mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a gentle breeze and quite warm near 84. A possibility of thunderstorms and some sun at 86 in the afternoon and evening. 86 and mostly sunshine and possible thunderstorms with a gentle breeze Saturday. This is your Thursday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
No one wants to deal with a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It's even worse when you're not sure what it'll cost, when it'll get fixed, or if someone's just selling you something. When you call Hiller, you can trust our experts to actually solve your home's problems quickly. And with true transparency pricing, you know the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Book online now at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
The happy face truck today.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction, be part of a winning team.
Happy Books helps small business owners save over 100 hours a year on bookkeeping and save $5,000 to $7,000 a year in expenses. Let Happy Books handle your bookkeeping so you can do what you do best. Grow your business. They are a small business specializing in serving other small businesses. Call Happy Books now for a free consultation. 850-867-6973. That's 850-867-6973. Or take the first step on their Facebook page or website, happybookstoday.com.
Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio for the A.
Deep right center field, and is gone!
Your spot for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Listen live nights and weekends. This is Braves Country. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is the final segment of this Thursday afternoon right here on ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 on your dial. I'm David Hayes along with Leanne Schwartzentruber and James Fife. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. CBC Construction is the sponsor of the studio. And shout out to the Red 7 Tees phone line. You can go check them out at red7tees.com. They are the brand that brands you. You can also visit their websites, red7teesphone.com or red7tees.com, or you can call them at 850-612-7007. All right, Leanne. What season is it as of May 30th, I believe? May 30th or the 31st?
June 1st.
Oh, June 1st. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Same difference.
No,
November
it's not.
30th. All right. Well, tell me the difference in May 31st and June 1st.
Well, June kicks off summer, kicks off hurricane season.
Fair enough. And then your birthday is the end. So
The
what
last
we're looking
day.
for is really she's just trying to get you guys. She's trying to
I want to make sure
infiltrate
y'all
your
all
mind right now.
remember my birthday because it's the last day of hurricane season, November
you go.
30th. So when it's the last day, I personally am celebrating, and sometimes it's not just because it's my birthday. I'm really glad hurricane season is over.
Yeah.
And I hate to bring it up, but we all know what it is. We all live here, and we're faced with it every year. So you've got to be prepared. I heard people tell me that all growing up, because in the South, in Mississippi, we had hurricanes, that affected us. And I lived on the Mississippi Gulf Coast for a while as well. But I didn't truly take it serious like I should have. And, that's why I think a lot of us stayed here during Hurricane Michael, and you immediately realize what you needed after the fact, and half of the things we needed, I know I did not have, and I'm a person that prepares. So there are a few things that we all know, everybody knows, have some cash on hand, because just like with Michael, the power went out, ATMs don't work, debit cards don't work. Batteries, and a weather, which is like so expensive, especially now.
Yeah.
A weather radio. I have one. It's really cool because you can have the channels. It's also regular channels, but weather. It charges your devices. It has solar power, so you can keep running it. Has a flashlight on it. So it's just, you go to Amazon, just hit, multi-use, weather radio, and you'll find some awesome things. I had that for Michael, and it was really good. Also, bottled water and water to like flush the toilet and things like that.
Fill
Two
your
different
tubs up.
things. Right. But you know what? What I have seen in the world of real estate is a lot of people are doing away with bathtubs. And they just have walk-in showers.
Yeah.
So
go get you one of those big plastic tubs, I guess?
Well, you can do that. I save like the big orange juice containers or those big water containers. I just put them in a bag and throw them in the attic, and then hurricane season I fill them up and I put them on a shelf in the garage. So we've got all of that because that kind of stuff takes time.
I'm like,
and
with a little pin needle into your garage sometimes.
If you remember with Michael, it came in 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it went from a disturbance to a major hurricane.
Well, and even the night before, they're like, category 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, you're about to get lambasted. So if you're still in Panama City, you've got about an hour to get out of there.
I know. And that was and that reminds me, gas, whether it's to run a generator or to get the heck out of Dodge, because everybody's going to be making a run on the gas stations. But here are a couple other things real quick.
She's writing a book on this too, y'all.
No, I'm not. No, I might do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's not a bad idea.
I know, you're right. But one of the other things that we needed so bad that we did not have, I have like gardening gloves, just if you're planting flowers, but good work gloves, because we were picking up like all the pine trees and everything was covered in sap.
Yeah.
Or you're having to pick up things like, those sharp edges or whatever. Keep on hand a couple of pairs, some good utility work gloves. Outside of that, it was rakes and chainsaws.
Yeah, I was about to say, make sure your chainsaw is ready to go, because you might need that to get out your driveway.
We had like 6 neighbors. We got to know our neighbors so well during that time.
Part of Hurricane
It really
Michael.
was. It really was. And it took all of us getting our chainsaws, and then people, their chains were coming off, and it was, that was pretty crazy. But just some little things. Just take all this stuff, put it in a box where you have it. And lastly, and this does have to do somewhat with real estate.
Of course.
But insurance primarily.
Yeah.
Because you are not going to be able to remember every single thing down to shoes, tools, and stuff that you own to be able to get reimbursed for those contents if it gets destroyed. So I would just go ahead and do it now and be done with it and just save it on your computer or your phone. Go through and video your house, open the cabinets in the bathroom, the kitchens, go in the attic, your garage, every room in the house, exterior, and that way you don't even have to sit and make a list because you can just go through your videos. And I did do that the night before Michael. My insurance company still didn't pay me, but that's okay.
The worst ending to any story I've ever heard.
Not for
Make sure you do this, but it's not going to help you. But it will make you feel more confident going into this situation, which will bust your bubble even more. Welcome to adulthood with Leanne Swartz and Trooper.
Living the life. We just had a bad experience. Most people got paid back for their contents, but it's just really, really important to do that. Trust me, you will thank me. Hopefully, we won't have anything that comes our way. But if we do, you'll be ready.
6 going on 7 years right now. I was thinking about that on the way to work because we've had some disturbances and everything, and it's like you get into. I don't know. Maybe you texted me about wanting to talk about this. I don't remember. But for some reason, on the way to work today, my brain was thinking like, "Golly, it's been." I don't want to,
I know.
Oh wow, yeah, nothing. But it's been a little while. We've been very blessed again, as we were prior to Hurricane Michael.
It had been a long time before Michael. It had been Opal, which is 95. So I know people get frustrated because their flood insurance is going up, our homeowners insurance, renters insurance, it's all going up, and it's where we live in the state of Florida, and it's not just affecting us, it's everybody in our state.
Yeah.
But I think supposedly our government leaders for the state of Florida are supposed to be working on that. So that would be really nice if we could, get a little break there.
Lynn Haven. Rob adds in on the Red 7T phone line that also your storage sheds. He says most everyone's insurance covers storage sheds.
That's right. There's an outside structure, just like if you have like a she shed, any little things like that. Doghouse.
Sheds don't need genders. Come on now. No,
I know. I want one so bad.
You don't. I thought that was like
I have my
mission
shack.
number one after.
There's no other place to put one. That's the problem.
Get a floating one. And then everyone can use it. It's just like bouncing off in your, what do you call that, little bayou? It's not a bayou.
Oh, no, it's a canal.
Canal. There it is. The Panama Canal.
Yeah.
The Lynn Haven Canal.
The Lynn Haven Canal. Oh, and that's the other thing, though. Your boat docks most likely are not. Some insurance companies cover it, but some don't. Because technically it's not on your property.
Yeah.
That's Army Corps of Engineers.
It's on God's property.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. James, anything to add of what it's like more inland for hurricane survivors?
Basically, just keep everything down. Like, get your beehives down. One of the things that... literally, you just take your beehives and you just take, a strap like you would for strapping something in the back of your car. Chick it, just scratch them down. That's the best chance that they got. You don't want to shut them up. You want to let them have a chance to go out if they want. One thing to do for your larger animals, like with your horses, your cows, your things like that. Literally, I use a chalk spray paint. I use a spray paint that's safe for animals. Put your number on the side of your horse.
That's a good idea. Or I bet it would be the same for cows.
Same for cows, same for horses. All my animals like that.
Why not brand them?
You can. I just don't really like branding them because I kind of like them.
Yeah.
It's, how painful that is.
And all my goats have, collars with my phone number on it, so if my goats get loose, you can give me a call for that too. So I have ways for all my animals
because that did happen
to me.
I mean, it happened, and then this last year, with Helene and everything in North Carolina and stuff, they didn't know who the animals belonged to.
Yeah.
You had tons of horse farms and all kinds of stuff.
They should have just built a big old ark out of gopher wood and just said, hey, come find your animals here. We just feel like instinctually they would find their way back to the ark somewhere or the other.
Even dogs. I mean, that happens too.
Yeah.
They get...
Especially July 4th. Make sure that they're... You walked right into that.
Look, I went to Bay High School for teacher appreciation. Ashley Moran and I went and gave out goodie bags to all the teachers.
Yeah.
So we had like 150 of these bags we had made and everything. And one of the guys came up and he said, hey, aren't you the one that lost your dog over the 4th? And I said... Not me. Ago. It was worse. It was my son's dog 2 weeks before he was about to get married. And I said, I lost him for 9 days. But thank goodness we found him. Yes.
That's such a long time, too, like 9 days.
I'm telling you, it was a miracle because there's usually, if you don't find them within a week, either somebody has them or they didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to say, but it's true. But,
there you go. All right. Well, what's your top 3 logos?
Okay. I had Dallas, and not because I like Dallas, but I find it interesting that it doesn't even have to do with the cowboy. it's a star. Now you
Yeah.
have a star like a sheriff's badge. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. But however, no matter what, everybody knows who that is.
Yeah.
And then the Orioles, and not because I'm an O's fan. I
Yeah.
like that before. I love the bird. I mean, I'm just crazy about the little bird. And then Coastal Carolina, Chanticleers.
The Chanticleers is a great
which I had
logo.
never even heard of till I met
Yeah.
Ryan Mulvey.
There you go.
You
there
know?
you go. What about you, James? You got yours real quick?
What I got the Nashville Predators. I just love the Smilodon on the front of the gold jerseys. Another one that I really like coming from the NHL is the Coyotes jersey with the old like Kacheka, you know, artwork on it with the coyote on it from the old Southwest. Absolutely love that one. And my favorite baseball one belongs to the Trash Pandas of Rocket City.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, they are. I like them too. I
So
like them.
I've got 3 categories. I'm going to do personal favorite, most memorable, and then just one for each league that is not my favorite team. Personal favorites are actually, I'm going to go to a AA squad here, the Biloxi Shuckers. That's that was one of the latest minor league games that I went to. I love the little oyster on the hat.
I know,
That
it's
is,
cool.
that's so cool. Chief Wahoo lives on forever, no matter what the heck the Cleveland baseball team name is going to be. And then my favorite from my teams is actually the Tampa Bay Lightning because I love that
I
logo.
almost picked that one too. I like theirs.
Most memorable, obviously going with the Cowboys. One of the other most memorable because of the movie, The Mighty Ducks. And then how about the Olympic rings? That's one of the most memorable logos of all time, the Olympic rings.
Thinking outside the box.
There you go. And then for college football, I'm going with Florida State, the Spear. I think that's one of the greatest logos in college football there's so many great logos in college. Major League Baseball. The Cubs, the blue and the red just does it for me. I love that, one of the most classic uniforms of all time or logos. Hockey, my favorite animal is a killer whale. Vancouver Canucks is my favorite logo there. The NBA Charlotte Hornets because I lived there for a while and I love the little hornet purple and green. That's a beautiful logo. NFL, I would go Oilers, but that's my team. So we'll go with the old Dolphins with his helmet logo on. Jesus loves you, so do I. Y'all have a great rest of your afternoon.
Bye. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most college and local sports anywhere on the Panhandle.